Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third round of the Monkey Mafia Esports League, the F1 bit. We're here tonight in Austin, Texas, at the Circuit of the Americas for the third round of the inaugural season. 15 drivers on the grid tonight. Should be a very fun time at this. I would say it's. I tell you what, it's a very interesting track. This because it hasn't always provided the breathtaking moments that a lot of the other circuits have, but the racing is always great when we do come here. The best memory that comes to my mind is obviously Kimi Räikkönen's win in 2018. 20 corners make up this track, this Herman Tilke design track that takes up lots of inspiration from other circuits around the world, including Silverstone, Hockenheim. And I believe, is there a Suzuka bit in it as well? I'm not rightly sure. But yeah, fun one should be here tonight. It looks like a pretty nice day at the moment. If you were with us last week in Singapore, you'll remember we did have some rain on the way in. It was a very interesting Grand Prix to say the least. I tell you what, this one should be just as fun tonight. Let's take a look at the driver standings after Singapore last week. Lancey leads the league, 66 points. Shariah second at 48. Pingolo 44. Fireballer 42. Gab at 39, Reimer 29, Gazboy 26, Beamer 25, Slayer Ice 24. Cynical rounds out the top 10 as far as the constructors are concerned. McLaren takes the lead in that at 83, Alpine at 62, Aston Martin 58, Ferrari 48, Williams 42, Mercedes 26, Haas 25, Alfa Romeo 24, Red Bull 20, AlphaTauri at 0. It's been a tough season for the AlphaTauri so far, and hopefully, for their sake, they're going to get back on track, so to speak, tonight. I do know that Valhalla Wolf has a qualifying ban for some reason or another. I'm not rightly sure why, but Osmanian Devil, his teammate, is going to be the first driver out on track. As, goodness me, that sun is bright over the crest behind us of that hill. This track, I believe, coming up in real life in... Oh, good save there. In about a week's time. Today's the 9th. I believe the Grand Prix starts the weekend of the 20th, so about 10 days away from the real-life United States Grand Prix in the real-life F1 season. It looks like we're getting a couple more drivers out on track now. Just a couple of interesting facts about this Circuit of the Americas. Currently holds the F1 weekend attendance record at over 400,000. The track cost approximately $400 million to construct. Architect by Herman Tilke, as we've said before, who's designed so many circuits, including that of the Red Bull Ring. What does that say? The Nürburgring? That doesn't seem quite right. There's a lot of tracks that Herman Tilke has done in. This is one of them. Through that first corner, Osmanian Devil, it is one of the steepest inclines in all of F1. Should make for a very interesting way up the hill. Through now this Sector 1S section, which does seem to be taken a lot more easily in these higher downforce new generation of car. I remember in the 2021, it was very, very difficult to be going through that section of the track, but for the moment, Osmanian Devil looks like he's doing an okay job. Down the hill from Turn 10 into the very tight left-hander of Turn 11, practically a carbon copy of Turn 1, just not with the elevation change. Down this back stretch now, I would call it a straight, but it's not necessarily straight now, is it? Gab is retired from the section, not sure where that's happened. That's coming out of the final corner, it seemed. We go along with the Alpine, perhaps, of NFS light work. Well, I'm not rightly sure where that's happened. It's somewhere around there. Into now what I believe is copied after the Hockenheim stadium section, this, what corner is this here? I need to get my track map open. This is turn 14, 15, now entering 16, 17, and 18. Around what is, I would think, very reminiscent to that of, remember how Sochi used to have that very long left-handed corner. It's basically the same thing, just right-handed now. Through that final corner of turn 20, he's done well. Beware of track limits on the exit to 136, 684. That's a very solid start. I wouldn't complain with that necessarily. The next Alfa Romeo of Slayer Eyes, well, he's not going to be the one. I believe the next driver on a timed lap It's actually neither of these. Who is it here? Is it the, it's not the McLaren of Pingolo. Is it that of Lightwork? Well, he has invalidated. It's not his teammate of Reimer. It's not either of the Alfa Romeos. Is it the Mercedes of Mini? It must be. He's making his way through turn 15. Now, gotta watch exit of this turn 15. How the corner is designed, it kind of, you know, it's lower in topographically on the inside of the corner. The car does tend to shoot out to the right side and produce a lot of oversteer through that corner, through, once again, 19 and 20. Takes a lot of the inside curve. Again, got to be aware of track limits on exit. So the line goes Mini. 138, 279. Gasboy goes fastest. 134, 377. That is a good-looking lap to start out here. Puts 2.5 seconds back to Osmanian Devil. Well, again, light work. He's not next on the time lap. I believe behind him it is the Ferrari of Shirai Coleslaw, the lone Ferrari on this occasion. Holds the exit at 19 quite nicely. A little oversteer there, getting onto the board to 133, 566, puts 0.8 of a second back to Gasboy there. Fireballer goes P3, just about 1.2 seconds off the pace. I believe Hollow Wolf is going to be coming in here for his qualifying ban. Actually, no, it is his teammates of Osmanian Devil, who looks like, is he perhaps starting another time lap here? That would be something interesting to see. You don't typically see drivers do more than one time lapse at a time. Lancey, or currently current pole leader, or not pole leader, current standings leader, is about to start a lap here shortly. His teammate, a Fallen Demon behind him, has invalidated his previous attempt, so we're going to go along with Lancey here, a Slayerized. He goes within 0.6 of a second of Shirai Coleslaw, moves himself on the front row. Up the hill in towards turn 1 is Lancey. Let's see how he handles it. He's taking it a little wide, to be honest, but still carries a good amount of speed on exits. Over the curve through turn 2, into the S's now. It's incredible to see the lateral G's pulled from this car, going back and forth through those corners. It's actually incredible, 25.6 through the first sector so far. It is purple. Down the hill now through turn 10, in towards turn 11. Very tight, 135-degree left-hander. A little bit of wiggle getting back under the throttle there. Not sure it's hurt him all that much. Down the back straight he goes. DRS activated, battery naturally being used here. One of the Alfa Romeos behind him, and then a Haas behind him, I believe his teammate, who might be on a time lap here. I'm not rightly sure. In towards now 13, 14, 15. The Hockenheim section of corners here. He's actually gone very wide. Slightly an unconventional line through those turn 14 into 15 there. That was, we don't typically see drivers take that corner so wide like he's done. He's almost held it well, but the back end of the car's only just slightly came around. So it looks as if he may be hurting here. Pingolo's left the session for whatever reason. DRS activated here for Lancey. It's a 133.672 off of provisional pole by 0.1 of a second. So at the moment, Ryan Coleslaw has Lancey's number, but still a lot of time left in the session here. Wouldn't be surprised if perhaps we do see Lancey put together another solid attempt before the session is through. We got 10 minutes and 15 seconds. Next up to the line, Reimer's on his way into the pits. Behind him, the Alfa Romeo of George Mazzagai's on his way in. That... what the hell does that mean? Weird noises are happening. Anyways, Mini's going to be on his way into the pits. That leaves just the pair of Haas drivers out on track until the Red Bull of, I believe that's Cynical. What does that mean? What does that buzzing mean? That's a weird noise. Did anyone else hear that? Surely. Well, Cynical's going to be out on an out lap here. This is going to be a lap I'm very interested to see. Looks like the Aston Martin of Gasboy coming out as well. Followed by, I believe that is, yep, it's the Alpine of, well, Lightwork's actually out ahead of all these guys, so I'm assuming maybe is it the Williams of Fireballer? Yes, it is. Is Lancey giving his teammate the toe here? No, he's actually the one behind. So I would assume. I'm just wondering where Lancey lost that 0.1 of a second. I'm assuming it's perhaps just on the exit of 15 there, because we saw it at the back end of the car really snapped from him. had a little bit of being tentative to getting on the throttle. I'm assuming that's what kind of caused that. As are either of the Haas drivers going to be starting another time lap here? Looks like Fallen Demon's on his way in. I would assume Lancey is as well. Perhaps. No, he actually looks like he's getting ready to bank up and start another one here. Yeah, I tell you what, battery going to be flipped on here in a second. DRS activated. He is going for it. This is going to be another time lap attempt from Lancey. Down the pit straight he goes. Up the hill into the first corner. This one's surely going to be a calamity in the race. Takes it much more shallow of an apex that time. He's done well to, I think, cut a little more out of that corner. Down the hill through turn 2 into the S's now. To the timing line he goes. He was a 25.6 the last time. It's 25.35. He's quicker by almost 0.3 of a second through the first sector. And at the moment, that clears Shariah by a hefty chunk so far. Still a lot of lap left to go here for the Dutchman. Turn 11 he goes, looks all right for the time being. Cynical about a starting out lap, or a time lap rather. I believe Lightwork is on a timed lap at this moment in time. But the next driver around will be that of Lancey, I think. Was Lancey able to get a bit of a tow there from the AlphaTauri of Osmanian Devil? Could very well be true. 7.5 minutes to go. Shariah still tops the session. It's very close between the top two, as Lancey's gone purple sector 2 as well. Slayerized in third. Has a little bit of a work to do to get onto this front row. Oh, and again, you see the back end of the cars come around from him again. It was slightly less noticeable that time, I think, than the first time we saw it. But that is going to be a huge focal point from Lancey's lap here. He's going to have to get that one right. Exit the final corner. That was a big slide there. Does he hold on to it? No. Well, he does. He's only faster by 6/100ths of a second. And I tell you what, two very costly mistakes there. And Lancey still doesn't have himself on provisional pole. Looking to make it 3 in a row this time out, and he has some work to do. Aston Martin Gasboy, actually light work, has just gone provisional pole, 1:33.209, a lap that's, well, we should have been looking out for. We weren't really. But I tell you what, Lightworks put 3.5 tenths back to Shariah Coleslaw. That is a mega lap from the Alpine driver. It looks like his teammate of Reimer is going to be up next, followed by one of the Alfa Romeos. It is going to be George Mazda starting one. Eventually the Williams Fireballer, who looks about, did I say 0.8 of a second quicker? Holds it very nicely coming off the corner there. Moves himself fourth, 1:33.809. Improves by nearly a second and puts himself almost half a second behind NFS Lightwork at the moment. Very competitive lap there from Fireballer. Does well. Cynical has just gone P5, and Gasboy has just gone P6. So now the top 7 separated by that second, and oh, by the way, 11/1000ths of a second separate Gasboy and Slayerized at this moment in time, although it looks like Slayerized is still on a timed lap here. So let's see if Slayerized is able to improve as he makes his way through the horseshoe. That's what I'm going to call it. There's a couple of corners that look like that. Through the final corner now. Does he hold it well on exit? Yeah, a little squirrely. Not bad. 1:33.929. Quarter of a second faster. Moves himself within 7.5 tenths. Puts himself up 2 places. Now up to 5th. As the AlphaTauri just came across the line. It was Osmanian Devil. He's faster by 1.5 seconds. Still only P10. So he still has some work to do, but that is a good start there. Reimer making his way through the third sector now. I believe that just said he's half a second faster through the third sector so far. Tell you what, all of these American tracks have this kind of horseshoe like that. Miami has that one towards the tail end of Sector 2. I believe Vegas is getting a corner very similar like that. And, well, Circuit of the Americas has one through those corners of 16, 17, and 18. Well, Reimer has just put together a very solid lap, goes 1:33.768, moves himself almost within half a second of the lead, and in towards that second row. Very nicely done from the Alpine. Tell you what, it's a good result so far from the Alpine drivers. They got a lot to hold on to here. 4 minutes and 25 remaining in the session. Still a lot of time left, but I tell you what, has to be said, I think Lancey might be on the ropes here, guys. Currently 0.4 of a second off a position he is not used to being in. But should Lancey clean up those couple of places where we did see the mistakes happen, I have no doubt in my mind he's going to have a very solid attempt for pole position. That's definitely going to be one that we look out for. Slayerize at the moment, 2.6 seconds slower. This is not a timed attempt from him. The Hasa Fallen Demon making his way through the final sector now, and he has gone wide, and that is not going to be an improvement. 139, 932, not enough. Archmanian Devil has invalidated. I wonder if that's this and next, because he's coming into the pits. Not going to be ideal for him. Now just listen to this dinging noise. No, you didn't. I didn't hear it that time. Huh. Anyways, Reimer coming out of the final corner now. He's going to be on his way in. Just wonder, can you hear it? I didn't hear it either. That's so odd. I definitely heard it beforehand. Well, only a couple drivers out on track right now. Mini, Fallen Demon. Actually, Mini starting a timed lap attempt here up the hill into the first corner. Two drivers coming out behind them. I believe the Aston Martin Gasboy, followed by one of the Williams. Is it Fireballer? Yes, it is. In fact, the only Williams on the grid, but the point stands. 2.5 minutes remaining here. Not a lot of time left. Only a couple drivers out on track. I tell you what, if you are Lancey, if you are Lightwork, Shariah Coleslaw, anybody looking to improve on those good laps that you have already, you may want to get out on track because there will be traffic if you don't. And that is definitely not very good to be had here. So, 2 minutes and 15 to go. I tell you what, if you're not on track right now, I think you might just be missing out here. As Osmanian Devil missed the first corner. Yes, he has. I believe he was trying to be on a timed lap attempt. He's gone deep into the first corner. That one's going to be the end of his attempt. He's got 2 minutes to get it back around, so it should not be bad. Well, he's on an outlap anyways, but still. And now the mass is coming out on track. We've got all but 3 on track at this moment in time. Those 3 being Lightwork, Fallen Demon, Valhalla Wolf, and of course Gab, who retired earlier on. I believe we do have, is that the Williams Fireball or something's happened with him. Always just slowing and getting the tires warmed up here. We're going to go along with, well, Mini's going to be coming around, well, he's invalidated, never mind. We are going to be going on with, I believe Lancey is the first driver out on track regarding this top 4. Both of his Alpine counterparts at the moment are behind him. Reimer is a couple of cars behind. So yeah, Lancey's going to be the head of this train. Then it's going to go to Shariah. Then it's going to go to Reimer. Fireballer is also on this as well. In fact, Fireballer is going to be the first driver around here, and I think he is probably in this position enough to where I would consider him a threat for provisional pole right here. Very least, the front row there. So let's find out what he has in store. We're going to go along with Fireballer. Behind him, it's going to be Lancey, Shariah, Reimer, and Lightwork. Are our 5 drivers in question here that we're going to go along with. 45 seconds remaining in the session, and this is crunch time now. You have to get this lap correctly. You're not going to have any more opportunities to get it done if you do mess up this time. Fireballer through Sector 1 so far. Let's go along with him through the S's. Hardly even a lift to those first couple turns then. And he's only faster by 4/100ths of a second. It is purple for him. However, I would still say the car looks like slightly a handful there, has to be said. 15 seconds remaining. I tell you what, Lightwork may not get around here. Especially considering if Lightwork doesn't get going now, he might be in trouble. He's only got 7 seconds to go. Is Lightwork going to make the line? He will, but only just. Wow. 3 seconds to spare. Fireballer making his way down the backstretch now. Fallen Demon and Valhalla Wolf are the only 2 that have finished out their times now. Everybody else on track has, right now, a timed lap attempt, unless you're in the pits, naturally. Fireballer making his way through Sector 3 now. He's 8/1000ths of a second slower through Sector 2. Still perhaps a lap that he can make something out of here. In fact, he's held the exit of turn 15 rather nicely. Gasboy has gone P6, that's all he can manage, is behind Fireballer by 14/1000ths of a second. Not bad at all, but not enough for the top 5. Let's see if Fireballer is able to improve here. He'll be the first one to look out for as he now makes his way in through the final corner. Exit held very nicely. To the line goes Fireballer, only improves a spot. Faster by about a 10th and a half there. Lancey we're on with now, currently I believe that said only a 10th.5 quicker through the second sector. Ahead of him is the AlphaTauri of Osmanian Devil, and then in front of him is one of the Alfa Romeos. Osmanian Devil to the line now is able to jump up into 9th, 1.3 behind the leader at the moment. Lancey next across the line. Then behind him, Shariah. But first, the Alfa Romeo, I believe, is it Slayer Eye? Slayer Eye is going to go P6. Lancey across the line now. Provisional pole for Lancey. Behind him is Shariah. Shariah provisional pole. And then behind him is Reimer. Reimer can only manage third. But Lightwork, now going along with him, has invalidated his final attempt. So, Shariah Coleslaw gets provisional pole, and I think will end up getting pole by 7 1/100ths of a second here, as Lancey had it and then was immediately stolen from him from the Ferrari. Well, great drama at the line here, and I tell you what, Shariah Coleslaw is going to have a lot of work to do off the line. He's got 2 incredibly quick drivers to his immediate surroundings. Let's not forget Reimer, Cynical, and Fireballer also worthy adversaries in that respect. This is going to be one hell of a drag race off the line into that first corner. I'm sure drama is going to happen here. But Shariah Coleslaw is able to catch his breath for now. He's got that pole starting spot. He's hopefully, for his sake, going to hold on to it. So your starting grid then for the Texas Grand Prix, not the American Grand Prix. Shariah Coleslaw on pole by 7 1/100ths of a second over the Dutchman Lancey. Third is Lightwork. Fourth is Reimer. It's a second row lockout for the Alpines. Fifth, Cynical. Sixth is Fireballer. Seventh, Slayerized. Eighth is Gazboy. Ninth, Osmanian Devil. 10th, Mazda Guy. 11th, Pingolo. 12th is Many. 13th, Fallen Demon. Gab did not get in the chance to put down a timed lap, and Valhalla Wolf had a qualifying ban. So, once again, Shariah is going to have one hell of a fight off of the line, but I tell you what, if he's got a good grid spot and he's able to get on the throttle easily enough, he may just be able to carry the lead out of turn 1. Let's see what happens. So, after a pretty solid qualifying session, here we are on race. It has to be said, it looks slightly cloudy, but just asking the Discord if there's any weather to be had in the race. Remember, we did have the rain last time out in Singapore. There's been some great racing, has to be said. 15 on the grid for tonight, definitely more than last time out in Singapore, but I tell you what, even with the reduction in numbers last time out, still a very solid race to be had. And here we are in a track that really, I think at least in the esports world, can really put together some incredible races. Singapore will do it either way around every single time you visit the track. But here we are, formation lap about to be underway here. And let's just see what tires we have taken here. Looks like mediums and softs throughout the way. So, that tells me one of two things. One, the medium is just going to be that better of a tire. Two, if there is nobody on the harder tire, the hard compound tire, we might see some weather at some point in the race, because naturally you want to minimize the amount of stops before the weather comes in. I'm not sure we're going to have weather. This is only speculation. I have not seen a weather report. Nobody's pinged me for a weather report, but it has to be said, this might be something to look out for here, if that's the case. Remember, Shariah Coleslaw on provisional pole. He's going to have one hell of a battle off the line here. My eye is going to be on... Well, I tell you what, I think it's going to be on Reimer here. He's within a good spot. He's only got a couple of drivers ahead of him. Say the carnage happens into the first corner, he's going to be in prime position to take any spots away from the drivers in his immediate surroundings. I tell you what, he's on the medium tires. He's going to be in a little bit of a sucker hole. Sucker hole, that's not the right word. Sippy hole? What's the question? What's the word? What's the term to describe it? Well, he's going to be a sitting duck is what he's in. Why would he be in a sitting duck? I'm on my second beer of the night already. I'm sorry. Anyways. Will he be a sitting duck here, considering that 3 out of the 5 drivers in the top 5 are on the soft tires? That's going to be a big question. How much of an advantage are those soft tires going to be at the start of this race? That is a really huge question on my mind, because naturally they are the minority of the grid so far. Only the 3 of them have chosen the softs. Everybody else on the mediums. That tells me, is there perhaps going to be weather towards the back end of this race to where the one stop... And I tell you what, you just saw, I don't know if you saw that as well as I did. I saw a good spits of rain happening there. I think that weather might be sooner rather than later. And oh, by the way, look at this. I don't know. I don't know if you can see it too. I'm seeing raindrops. That part's for sure. Is there any way possible we'll see drivers go into the pit lane and change to the intermediates already? I know if you tell Jeff to go in on the formation lap like this, he'll yell at you quite physically. But look at this. It is beginning to rain. The cars are going to be at a dead stop here. The rain is coming down on the formation lap. What the hell is going to happen, guys? This is incredible. I can't wait for what we're about to see here. This is actually going to be some form of carnage, it has to be said. The rain, it's no secret, it's falling down. The performance of these slick tires is going to be drastically reduced, especially, about halfway into this lap, when really they become not the best tire. The lights are turning on here. We have 4 and 5, and finally they are off here in the Circuit of the Americas. Shariah Coleslaw does get the best start off the line. Lancey follows. Lightwork, I think, is going to try to have that outside line up into the hill. There goes Lightwork round the outside. He's going to try to do both of it. Lancey falls behind, and as they jumble behind him, it looks like everyone's going to get away okay, but Lightwork has just pulled off a double overtake for now. They're side by side through the S's, and who's going to come out on top? They're still side by side. Lancey, all he can do is sit and hope, and Shariah's gone really wide. In fact, he is falling drastically now. Maybe was there contact? Maybe has he just gone off the track? I'm not entirely sure, but he's going to fall down to the 6th spot. And now, that will reopen the door for Lancey here, who with the slipstream may have a fair shout. There goes Cynical down to the inside. Reimer has gone way wide round the outside. He's going to be side by side with Shariah here. And despite the rain falling down, I think, it looks as if everybody's gotten away okay and we're not going to have massive incident off the start. There goes Lancey, down to the inside of Lightwork. He is going to take the lead as they make their way in towards the 12th corner. This is an incredibly wacky start to this Grand Prix here, because we do know the weather's in the area and we know it's coming soon. Lancey has gotten the lead back from Lightwork here. It was a very good move down the straight, and there's no question the straight line speed on that Haas is definitely going to be faster than that Alpine at the moment. But is it going to be more about how the car handles, as we do have an incident toward the back? Several cars have gone off, and by several I mean only Gab and only Osmanian Devil. But what we can tell you is there is front wings littered everywhere. Now, what happens? Neither of the top two decide to come in. Well, it almost looks as if the rain has stopped falling. Does anybody decide to come in? Well, Shariah is. Does Shariah see something in the weather forecast that nobody else will? You can see on his halo, the rain is still falling. This is kind of a bold move here from Shariah. In fact, Shariah, Valhalla, Fallen Demon, Gazboy, and Osmanian Devil have all decided to come in. What is the decision? Softs for Shariah and a front wing. Osmanian Devil coming in. Does he decide to put on anything other than the softs here? Well, his teammate is ahead of him, and he's kind of blocked him in there. The rain is falling. Hard tires going on. Do they not expect the rain to carry on for much longer than it is? Because the hard tires seems like kind of a mistake for me. You'd think the intermediates would perhaps come out to play. You can see the rain is definitely falling here, but Lancey has the lead for now, followed by Lightwork. Fireballer has made his way up to 3rd, and Cynical sits there in 4th, and Cynical might have a way around Fireballer here, as we see Pingolo and Slayer Eye side by side behind. But for now, the Cynical have an ability to outbrake Fireballer here. The rain is definitely falling now. There's no question. You can see it. Just, not yet. The water has not collected on the track yet, and that's what they're waiting for. I think anybody who's just come in and haven't put on the intermediates may have made a huge mistake. Well, look at this. Fireballer's gotten way out of shape, has corrected it, and Cynical's tried to go around the outside, and it's not been able to happen. The water's still not collecting on the track, it doesn't seem, but the rain is definitely falling, at least a little bit, I would say harder than it was before. Do the top two drivers decide to come in now? No, they do not. They are going to stick it out for another lap. The driver in 3rd decides otherwise. DRS is enabled despite the rain falling here, and Fireballer will make his way in. Reimer sets the fastest lap, 1:41.957, which I'm sure is going to be beaten soon considering the virtual safety car we had not long ago. So, Fireballer, what does he decide to do? It is going to be the intermediate tires for the Williams here. He will be at an immediate disadvantage, although I tell you what, we're having a solid battle back here for a little bit at least. He will be at, I would say, an immediate disadvantage, but once that track gets wet, he's going to be one hell of a driver with a lot of pace behind him. That part is for sure. Lancey now finding his way in toward the second sector. Let's see, how difficult is it on braking here? Well, I tell you what, he's held it okay. I think traction on exit is what he's going to be worrying about. Yellow flag, where is it? I think it's Osmanian Devil on his way into the pits. Is he perhaps going to put on the intermediate tires? That would be my question. Actually, no. Well, he wasn't on his way into the pits. He was, I think, coming out of that final corner, maybe, as he perhaps taking a spin. But either way, it looks as if... I'm just keeping an eye on the timing so far as we have Gab and Mini side by side, making their way into the 11th corner. Yellow flag ahead, and it's Lightwork who's gone around. The driver who, I would say, really had a better shot at winning this race than a lot, has gone around here and rejoins the track side by side with Mazda Guy, and I think that is going to be the indication for Lancey and Cynical to come in for the intermediate tires. Lancey stays out again. Does Cynical make that same decision? The answer is yes. He is chasing down Lancey on the same strategy. The yellow flag is out behind for the Mercedes of Mini, who looks to have gone off at the horseshoe. Are they perhaps just waiting it out and seeing if a safety car comes out? That way they can pit, not lose any positions on track. That's a bold strategy to be had. Yellow flag behind, it's Mini again, who looks as if he's gone off. Fireballer has caught up drastically to Mini ahead, although despite Mini's had a couple of incidents with himself, but it looks as if he was 11 seconds behind Mini, is now down to 3.5. So, and as we see that, mind you, Reimer, 0.3 of a second away from Cynical here. Shariah goes 1:43.74. Fastest lap of the race so far. Yellow flag out again. It's the Alfa Romeo of Slayerized who's gone sliding, coming out of the 7th corner. And now, just 0.2 of a second. 1.5 tenths between these two battling for the second spot. Cynical under a lot of pressure here, despite being on the soft tires. And oh, by the way, Lancey has pulled away to a 6.5 second lead. Down to the inside is that of Reimer. DRS has not been disabled yet by race control, and therefore Reimer will still have the position. It looks like Shariah may have gone off at that same turn 7, turn 8 that we saw whoever it was not long ago go off at. And it looks like Lightwork down to the inside of George Mazda. He's really been late on the brakes there. And now you can see the water is collecting on the track. I would assume this time by that rain is going to force these drivers to come in for the intermediates. At the moment, it looks as if the traction is enough, but it won't be next time by. Lancey surely is going to have to come in. Lancey stays out! What kind of sorcery is this? What is Lancey thinking? And Reimer's going to stay out as well. Fallen Demon picks up 3 seconds of time penalty. Why is nobody stopping? This makes absolutely no sense to me. You can obviously see the rain is falling. Is it going to stop? Is it just this one little burst of rain that's going to keep the cars out on track? This is a massively interesting turn of events here. And for now, DRS remains enabled. Cynical is within half a second of Reimer here. I tell you what, Lancey, in fairness to him, is not losing time to Reimer behind. Of course, he's on the softer compound, which will work better in the rain despite being slicks. But our eyes are going to be on Fireballer, currently the driver furthest up in the grid on those intermediate tires, and at the moment is gaining on Gab by about 0.2 a second here. But is that enough? As we do have one of the AlphaTauris off, it is that of Oh, and Osmanian Devil has collected his teammate. 2 cars off here. It's a safety car. Perhaps, will it be a red flag? No, it looks like it's only going to be the safety car. But Osmanian Devil had spun the car, going through the horseshoe, and tried to rejoin the track, and took his teammate with him. And the AlphaTauri team will remain at 0 points going into next round on a day where they really could have found some ground to improve. And unfortunately, they both are going to find a very long walk back to the paddock. Unbelievable stuff here, guys. You just can't make this up. Fallen Demon, 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. As you can see now, a lot of drivers toward the back end of the grid have taken the intermediates. I'm just wondering. I will say, though, if Lancey has done this correctly, and he has stayed out and waited for the safety car, he's done brilliantly here. On his way into the pits, and Lancey and the rest of the drivers behind him will get a free pit stop here. I think the only driver really in contention of gaining spots is that of Fireballer. That's going to be what I'm looking out for here. Reimer on his way in. And about a 3.5-second stop there for Reimer. Not that it really matters. I don't know how you couldn't get the perfect stop, but so Lancey is going to be the driver that comes out on track ahead. Look, does Fireballer gain any spots here? He's going to have to be under Delta until he gets to the line. There he goes. How many spots does he gain by the time the drivers get out of the pit line atop the hill at turn 1? It looks as if he's only going to gain about 2 spots. Well, the gamble for Fireballer, it didn't necessarily work, did it? Now, he's on 3-lap-old intermediate tires here, and really only gained about a spot from it. I think had the track stayed green, he probably could have gained more, but that's not the case. And the grid will be neutralized here with the intermediate tires into effect. So, after 6, both AlphaTauris, unfortunately, do not find the end of the Grand Prix, as it looks like Mini is, as he put on the full wets and a new front wing. Slightly odd for him, but as you can see, the grid now on the intermediates. I'll step aside for the time being. But what an incredibly interesting Grand Prix we've had so far. So safety car hasn't decided to come in yet, but it has to be said, that rain not necessarily getting any lighter, and you can see starting to collect on the chassis of the car. I would say, could the intermediates, could the full wets not be far away? It took a while like this in Singapore last week where, you know, it started off, it was really teetering on the intermediates for, you know, this kind of rain for the longest time. Then it started downpouring. And then it turned into the intermediates being the better tire once again. So, and that strategy is what got Lancey the win last week, was being able to tough it out on the intermediate tires, while a lot of them took the full wets. So both Fallen Demon and Mini have picked up 3-second penalties here for multiple warnings, whilst being under the safety car, mind you. That's interesting to be said. Still about a half a lap to go here until I would think the safety car comes in. So Lancey, after initially losing lead of this Grand Prix, has taken it back. Lightwork had found an incident going through the Hockenheim section of corners once the rain really started to fall, and you know, not necessarily at that point were we looking at, you know, time for the intermediate tires. It was more or less, it was too much for the slicks, but not enough for the intermediates, I'd say. It was at that kind of transition point to where you knew the wet tires were coming, but just, you know, waiting for that moment. And the Lightwork has unfortunately been demoted down to P5. He's only lost 2 spots, mind you, but not fair. What is happening between Shirai and Fireballer? Fireballer, has he lost the car? Something happened there. He's just fallen a couple spots there whilst behind the safety car. That's typically unusual. As far as positive directions go, Gab is up 7, Pingolo up 7, so a good result so far for the McLarens. 20 laps to go this time by. It looks as if biggest mover in the negative direction, Shiraya down 9. He had the incident earlier on in the race. I believe replaced a front wing as well. I could be wrong about that. Or during that round of pit stops, there was a couple of drivers who did come in to replace a front wing. I could be mistaken, but either way, it's not been a day to remember for him so far, for a driver who really was on pace to have a really good result. 2 DNFs, the AlphaTauris who collided around the horseshoe, as one of them had gone off track and tried to rejoin, and unfortunately the other just ran clean into the side, and both of them have not been able to finish the session. I'm actually quite surprised we didn't go under red flag, because that, you know, did claim both drivers there. Back to green flag racing we go. Lancey gets a pretty good start. I think one of the McLarens may not have gotten away quite well. It's not Pingolo. It may have been his teammate of Gab. He was under pressure there quite heavily. As up the hill they go, braking performance is going to be severely reduced in these wet conditions. Oh, yeah, there was Gab there. He's almost lost the car. There goes Shiraya trying to kind of remake some ground here. He's going to be side by side with Fireballer as they make their way through the S's. Actually, Shiraya's gotten around the right side of Fireballer there. Very nicely done to make that happen. That's a difficult maneuver to make in any condition, never mind the wet. At the moment, it looks like Lancey's gotten away to a good start here. 9/10 of a second. Actually now clears a second from Reimer, who is slightly under pressure from Cynical behind. Not quite enough to where he should start to panic, but should keep it in the back of his mind here. Cynical kind of under pressure from Pingolo. Not really. In fact, I would think Lightwork is pressuring Pingolo more than Pingolo is pressuring Cynical here. We'll have to wait and see. The rain is still falling. Slayer Eyes, could he perhaps find a move around Gab here? Laid on the brakes as Slayer Eyes is able to keep going. Well, Gab was going to overshoot it and get into the back of the other Alfa Romeo of George Mazda guy. So Slayer Eyes has accidentally done a good one here because I tell you what, Gab was really going to miss the braking zone. We do have a crash at the back, and Fireballer has gone around. I believe is he missing a front wing because he is quite slow now. Yeah, I'm not rightly sure what's happened between this group of cars, but something has gone awry. As we see Lancey, I tell you what, Reimer's actually gained quite a bit of time here. Very much closing in on Lancey. 0.6 of a second and closing as they now go down the pit straight and up towards the first corner. Meanwhile, Lightwork, is he going to have a look at Pingolo as they go up the hill? Later on the brakes, I'd say, but not really in any position to make something happen. It's 0.4 of a second between the top two. Here's Lightwork, we're along with now, pressuring Pingolo as they make their way through the S's. Gasboy and Slayer Eyes side by side on their way into the combination of corners. 0.3 of a second in closing. As you can see, the top 5 cars here in really close quarters of each other. George Mazda guy 3.5 seconds behind this battle to be in the top 5. Otherwise, has to be said, good racing here so far. Lightwork, I think, was he going to try it around the outside of Pingolo? Pingolo covered the line, and Lightwork nearly went clean into the back of the McLaren there. Was able to keep it under his grasps, but still, that one almost went really dangerous. And now Lightwork, I think he's got a significant straight-line speed advantage here around the right side. Later on the brakes, I think he's going to make it happen. Pingolo's going to have the advantage of being on the inside. Yes, he does. Pingolo's able to keep the spot, but there goes Lightwork down to the inside once more. Hopefully no contact being made there. Lightwork's going to be able to get around the inside. And I tell you what, that is not a very common place to see overtakes been made. Very nice. But here's Pingolo again down to the inside. I tell you what, he really almost had an opportunity there. The corner just wasn't made for trying to strike back on the inside like that. Very good effort from Pingolo, but it's not really gone to plan for him. We have a yellow flag. Something's gone wrong there. It's Gab, who I believe has spun. No, it's Slayer Eyes who's off on the inside. Doesn't look as if he's lost too much front wing to where a virtual safety car would come out, but not ideal for him. Tell you what, I'm not sure where Lancey's losing the time, because prior to completing the lap there, he was about 1.3 seconds ahead of Reimer. And now once again, I think it's got to be Reimer's just got that much of a straight line speed advantage. I'm actually going to turn on the telemetry here. And so we're just going to wait and see. We're going to measure it going down the back straight. We'll measure. Tell you what, Lancey kind of looks slightly uncomfortable with this car. Is he missing? Wow, I thought he was missing front wing. He's not. He kind of looked like he was for a minute, but is not. We got the Alfa Romeo of Slayer Eyes off again at the top of the hill. On the way into the braking zone, I would say that time Lancey looked a bit faster as Pingolo picks up 3 seconds for multiple warnings. On the throttle they go. Down the back straight. Lancey at the blue beam there is going to top out at 184. Yeah, about dead even between the two. Has to be said, I think Reimer peaked at 186 when he hit the braking zone, so he's not that much faster than Lancey. Is Lancey just struggling with that third sector? Because right now, look, he's at 1.2, and this is about the gap he had last time. And then suddenly Reimer was within 7.5 tenths by the time they get up the hill into the first corner. So I'm not rightly sure where Lancey is losing this time. Again, yeah, there he goes. Just lost another 2 tenths there. Maybe it is just his final sector. Because again, we saw Lancey having difficulties, especially through that turn 15 in the dry in the qualifying session. Maybe is that where he's losing it again, and then as well on exit of the final corner here. Oh, we saw him have a couple of slips. Yeah, I tell you what, it maybe just might be those final couple of corners where Lancey's losing the time. Because now, once again, Reimer is much quicker as they head on the first corner, and once again within 0.7 of a second of the top spot, the Dutchman, the Haas of Lancey. And meanwhile, light work within 0.6 of Cynical here, not necessarily close enough to pressure for position. Although maybe a mistake by Cynical will open that door. Tell you what, it's been a great day for the Alpine so far. Has to be said, it looks like they're on pace for a good result. We're not even halfway. Oh, that's a big slide! Does he hold on? Yes, he does. Well, I tell you what, that one got dangerous there, didn't it? Lightwork was really close to losing the car there, going from the crest of turn 9. And he was somehow able to hold on. But now does that open the door to Pingolo behind? Mind you, he's got a 3-second penalty. Got a car off at the back. Is the McLaren a gab? Something's happened with him. We know Mini's just picked up another 3-second penalty. Yeah, not really sure what the deal is with that. A little bit of a slide there from Lightwork. It has to be said, full wet tires not really in the question here. The water is not collecting on the surface. It is still raining. It is a consistent rain. But intermediate tires only for the time being. Pingolo 0.7 of a second away from Lightwork here. The top 5 separated by 5 seconds. Not bad, but without the aid of DRS, we're really not going to see much overtaking unless a mistake is made. Now let's see, yet again, does Reimer get a better exit than Lancey? In fact, no, I would say Lancey got the better exit that time, is now putting ground back to the Alpine, so is perhaps that been something, Lancey has figured something out, to where now he can consistently put time to the Alpine behind. Looks like the Mercedes of Mini is going to be coming in here. Well, he's not coming in. Maybe he had an incident coming out of that final corner. It's possible. 7.5 tenths here between Cynical and Reimer for the second spot. Reimer's had himself a rather poor start to the lap. He's lost about another 0.7 of a second back to Lancey for the lead of the Grand Prix, and the gap is really only getting bigger at the moment. And it looks as if it's going to hit 2 seconds by the time they get down to the end of the straight here. Still 0.8 of a second. I tell you what, rain not stopping. Still looks the same as it did before. It's not really getting any lighter. At least in the night sky of Singapore, we were kind of able to tell if it was getting heavier or not, because, you know, obviously the rain kind of stood out from the night sky, but not in the case here in the rather gray setting of Austin today. I don't believe this track's ever actually held a wet race, has it? I may be wrong about that. I don't ever recall seeing Austin hold a wet Grand Prix before. You see Fireballer and George Mazda side by side here, making their way into the Hockenheim section of corners, and it looks as if Fireballer is going to keep that spot. Very nicely done from the Williams, who has had a rather, I don't want to, Mazda well, he's been able to hold the car there very nicely. I may have spoke too soon. Yeah, in fact I have. Front wing has been shed. The safety car is on track. That, has to be said, is one of the worst safety car calls I've seen. Yeah, he's shed the front wing. It's not on the track. It's off to the inside of the circuit. The virtual safety car would have done just fine. But, Slayer Rise picks up a drive-thru for speeding into the safety car. Well, it has to be said, I don't agree with that one, and neither will Lancey. Reimer might think differently. He might be quite happy. That's going to put him within striking distance of Lancey once again. Don't think we're going to see many drivers going to be coming in for a stop. Naturally, Mazda will be coming in here to get that front wing changed. Mini coming in as well. Yep, he's missing the end plate on his left front. It looks like double trouble here for the Alfa Romeos. Is he replacing a front wing? No, it doesn't look like he is. Yeah, not sure. So, Lancey has the lead of the Grand Prix here. Rain still falling here in Austin, Texas. Our second safety car of the day. I'm going to step aside. Let it sort itself out. We're about halfway through the Grand Prix here. Still a lot left to come. Stand corrected. We are seeing quite a few drivers in the pits here. In fact, some of them putting on dry tires. In fact, a lot of them putting on dry tires. This is, I would say, very, what's the word I'm looking for here? Unexpected. The track very much still wet. Lancey remains on the intermediate tires, while Reimer, Cynical, Lightwork, Pingolo as well. Gazboy, Gab, Shariah. It looks like, who is that? Is that the McLaren of Gab? Yeah, Gab remains on the intermediates, but Shariah, Fireballer as well, and George Mazda guy, I would think, all going to be coming in to fit dry tires. This is a wild turn of events here. Suddenly, the rain has stopped falling. Clearly the track isn't, fully dry yet, as you can see, but Lancey, at the moment, testing the acceleration, testing the grip. I think he really is going to have to stop this time by, because the safety car is not going to be in this lap. It's going to have to allow the drivers to catch back up to the queue here. This is a wild turn of events, has to be said. Lancey has been left at an absolute disadvantage here. He's taken a risk. I don't think it's worked out for him. Lancey, mind you, on pace to be winning 3 in a row here. But this is going to make his job one hell of a lot harder. There's Reimer behind on those medium tires. Now, naturally, as you can see, that track is still quite greasy. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. It's going to take some time for the track to dry out, naturally. But you can see the rain is no longer falling. Lancey's still ahead of the queue. Now, in real life, these intermediates would still be the best tire because they, once that outer tread wears off, they are basically a very special kind of soft compound that works in these wet conditions. And Lancey will come in, and he will be losing a hell of a lot of spots here as he decides to pit. That is going to promote Reimer to the lead of the Grand Prix. Was that just purely a mistake from Lancey, or is this some sort of good move? I'm not quite rightly sure. He's only going to lose about 6 or 7 spots here. Yeah, it looks like he's only going to lose. He's only going to move down to P6. That is a bold decision by the Dutchman then. I'm not sure why he stayed out that long. It looks like Mini and Fallen Demon. Well, Mini has deliberately stayed out here. He still has faith in the intermediates. Fallen Demon stays out as well, so only 2 drivers on the moist compound of tires have stayed out here. And that will hand the lead of the Grand Prix over to Reimer. Really bold and interesting developments we're seeing here. So the safety car will now be in at the end of this lap. I tell you what, Mini and Fallen Demon still remain on the intermediate tires. The track is still, I would say, kind of greasy. You can see, there is still some moisture on the track, but I don't think enough for the intermediates. At this point, you can see there's no longer tire marks being left behind the cars. So I'd have to assume that these dry tires are going to be the best option. The majority of them have chosen the mediums. In fact, only 2 have chosen the hards, that being Gazboy and that being Gab. Everyone else has chosen to be on the medium tires. Once again, Lancey pit late, and that's why he is in the 6th spot at the moment. I think wanted to see how long the track was going to take to dry out and decided that, well, he didn't really need to take the risk any more than he already was. He's fallen down to P6. But with the quality of driver that he is, I would assume he's going to be able to make up some of these spots here in no time, especially Pingolo and Gazboy having time penalties as well. Back on a green flag here as the drivers exit the vinyl corner and down the pit straight. Reimer will lead the Grand Prix up the hill into the first corner. As you can see, the track is still greasy. Will braking performance be hindered? It looks as if everybody for now is rather safe as they make their way up the hill. through the first couple of corners. It looks as if Lancey might be having a move here at Gasboy within just a little bit here. It might take a little bit of time. At the moment, Reimer has gotten out to a second lead over Cynical, but that lead looks like it could be closing. As now, Cynical finds himself in an Alpine sandwich here, as Reimer's teammate of Lightwork finds himself within half a second of the Red Bull now, as they make their way out of turn 10 and down towards turn 11. Does Lightwork go late on the brakes into turn 11? No, he's going to choose to wait, and maybe, with DRS being enabled here rather soon, I would think, could that mean that a lot of these drivers are going to play it kind of patient here, and wait for that DRS to come out on track? That might be what Lightwork's doing here. Well, I'm allowed to be wrong sometimes. In fact, I am, because Lightwork has gone down the inside, outbrakes the Red Bull of Cynical, and now as they make their way into the Hockenheim corners, well, Cynical still has the inside, but Lightwork's going to have the preferred line into the corner of turn 15. And yeah, Lightwork's going to hold on to that spot. He's gone kind of slower on the apex. He's defended. Cynical wasn't able to perform the switchback. Nice and clean overtake from Lightwork. And now the Alpines occupy the top two spots. Meanwhile, behind, Lancey has not gained any positions since the beginning of the green flag stint here. In fact, he's gone wide there through turn 19. That's the second time we've seen him go wide. One more, and I would think he'll be looking at a penalty here. Could be wrong. Once again, finds oversteer coming out of the final corner. We saw him have troubles with that in the qualifying session. Cynical within 0.4 of a second here of Lightwork, not really able to pressure him here. Although it looks like Gasboy might be having a look at Pingolo in no time. Once again, Gasboy on the hard tires. I think he'll be at a pace advantage at the end of the run, but as these two fight, Lancey is now further behind from claiming his third win in a row. He's going to have to get around both of these drivers very soon, because I think he knows he's got a fair chance of being quicker than the top three at the moment, but being held up in traffic is not helping him. As now they make their way in towards turn 11, I don't believe DRS has been opened yet. Turn on the telemetry one more time. No, DRS has not been opened. And as they make their way down the backstretch now, Lightwork is moving within a second of his teammate here. I don't believe he's going to be within position to kind of, play it risky and try to overtake his teammate. But now there goes Lancey down to the inside. Fallen Demon has retired, going through the S's. Could there be another safety car afoot here? Lancey gets around Gasboy in time before he needs to find out. And no, it looks as if the safety car is going to stay in the pit lane where it belongs. But very unfortunate for Fallen Demon, who has pulled off track and retired from the race, whether it be due to crashing or he's retired on track. I'm not entirely sure. Either way, we know his day is done. But still about 9 or so laps left here. Yeah, so 9 laps left to go this time by. Gasboy's picked up 3 seconds for multiple warnings. That puts him at 9 seconds. DRS is going to be enabled this time by. Here comes Lancey, down to the inside on Pingolo. I don't believe Pingolo is going to put up too much of a fight here. Never mind, he's going to move down towards the inside, try to force Lancey low. That's definitely contact being made, and two drivers really making contact there. Lancey has gotten around Pingolo somehow, but goodness me, that one could have been absolutely detrimental then. And let's just hope that Lancey doesn't have wing damage. That one could have gone very south very quickly. And now it has to be said, Lancey is 3 seconds behind Cynical for the third spot. And once again, it was the traffic that he found himself in that is really preventing him from being in this fight for the win here. Is Gasboy going to be looking at a move at Pingolo here? He just might. DRS is going to be enabled here shortly. Gasboy switches down to the inside. It looks as if he's going to be able to have it with track to spare here as well. Yes, Gasboy is going to have that position. Mind you, he's got 3 seconds of penalties. Shariah Coleslaw, we haven't heard from him in a while, has moved himself back within the top 10 and might be in position here to move within the top 5. At the moment, he's in position to do just that. Reminder, the 2 cars ahead of him do have penalties, but now we might be looking at an interesting one here between Reimer and his teammate of Lightwork. Only 0.5 of a second separate the two. And I'm not entirely sure how this one's going to end up. I'm not sure who's the quicker driver. Both of them very fast in their own right. Who's going to be the driver? Are they going to invert positions here? Oh, and, we spoke very too soon. Shariah's now picked up 3 seconds of time penalty. And Lightwork's got the fastest lap, 1:38.765, I would think. Lightwork is the quicker driver at this moment in time. Lancey has gained about 0.8 of a second back on Cynical. It looks like Pingolo and Shariah side by side here as they go through the first corner, and Pingolo was able to get around the Ferrari that time. Very nicely done from him. Fireballers picked up 3 seconds there for track limits. It's been a very poor day from Fireballer, a driver who I was looking forward to seeing if he was going to be able to make a fight for this podium, and unfortunately it's not gone that way. The two Alpines now in formation, in towards turn 11. Lightwork is going to get down the inside of his teammate here. Does Reimer strike back? Now I'm pretty sure. Was Reimer ahead at the DRS detection zone? Yes, he was. Lightwork is going to get the dose of DRS. Oh my god! The Alpines have taken each other out! Son of a bitch, did I just see what I just saw? There's not very many times I'm left on a broadcast absolutely speechless. This would be one of those times. In all my years of casting, I've never seen two teammates take each other out when either of them had opportunity to lead and win the Grand Prix. You've seen it once before in real life with Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. You have to think that could be a very similar situation here. Except, neither of them are leading the championship. That belongs to Lancey. The third safety car of the day, and the second time a pair of teammates have taken each other out. I mean, that is... Why? Why were they battling that hard? I mean, Reimer was on the inside. Lightwork surely knew he was there. You know, Lightwork had the DRS. He was behind the detection zone. He was able to make the move happen. Coming out of turn 11. Reimer was on the inside. Surely Lightwork would have known and that Reimer was there. And surely Reimer would have known that his teammate was right there. I'm lost for words, guys. I'm genuinely lost for words. So it looks like Demon, what I'm looking at is, as far as Demon's DNF, his wheel is disconnected. He's gone into the wall. That was the reason for his DNF going into the S's. Reimer is currently typing in the Discord. I would typically let the safety car sort itself out here, but I'm very interested to see what Reimer has to say here. I'm going to leave myself some time, I think now, if I haven't done it already. Note to self in the editing process that this is at the point to where to throw in the replay of that clip. I can definitely say Lightwork isn't happy, and nor should he be. brings us down to 10 drivers, but... the safety car is finding its way at the end of this lap. Reimer has stopped typing in the Discord. He's gone quiet now. Now he appears to be typing once again. I'm going to leave my phone open just in case he says something. I've been in that situation before. Has to be said, I've been in the situation before when you're side by side with a driver like that for what perhaps would be a win. Many drivers will know El Majacco. Quick at whatever he drives, that part's for sure. I happened to be battling with him in F2 at Baku quite a while ago. Was side by side with him in a situation like that. And we both fighting for a win that neither of us wanted the other to have. Then unfortunately we did crash each other, but it was all good between us after the end because we both agreed it's just good racing. You know, it is what it is, you know. I'm afraid Reimer is really going to have to make it up to his teammate here. We're back under green. Got 5 laps to go. Cynical has a half-second lead over Lancey, but look at this. It's Mazda Guy and Gazboy side by side in the first corner. Gazboy down the inside, but look at this. Pingolo now wants the inside of George Mazda Guy, and he's done just that. That was a brilliant overtake from the McLaren, and he wants another here. As they make their way in towards the S's, Pingolo's picked up 3 seconds for multiple warnings. Shariah Coleslaw also with 3 seconds of penalty here. A lot of these guys are battling for position, but not all of them. In fact, George Mazda Guy is going to be in a really great spot if he stays within contention here, because Shariah's got 3 seconds ahead of him. Pingolo only half a second ahead of Shariah, has 6. And Gazboy, only a second and a half ahead of Pingolo, has 9 seconds of penalty. George Mazda Guy, believe it or not, if he strings together a good result here, could really be on pace for a podium. As now Lancey and Cynical side by side for the lead of the Grand Prix, and with 4.5 laps to go, Lancey has retaken the throne here in Austin. Where the hell are we? Yeah, Austin, Texas. Towards the back, it looks like Gaz. That's a 3-car battle here behind. As George Mazda Guy, something happened with George Mazda Guy because now he's losing spots quite heavily here. He's lost the position to both Gab and Fireballer. Something happened with the Alfa Romeo of George Mazda Guy because he was in position to take that podium spot and now finds himself P9. 4 laps to go this time by. Cynical is going to get the dose of DRS coming out of turn 11 this time. Lancey, I will say, however, has the fastest lap of the session so far. DRS should be re-enabled here. It's not. I could be wrong. I think it's 2 laps after. Yeah, that could be true. So we're only going to have a couple laps of DRS here. 4 laps to go in the Grand Prix. Cynical really could be in position. And I tell you what, he very much is in position now that Lancey has a 3-second time penalty. Well, I tell you what, Lancey, in his own right, is super quick. But is he quick enough to negate a 3-second time penalty within 3.5 laps? That is going to be one hell of a task to do here. By the way, Lancey on the edge of perhaps having 3 consecutive wins here in Monkey Mafia Esports, but now has to put an additional 2 seconds behind the Cynical. And with only 3.5 laps remaining, that's going to be one hell of a task. Can we look at the gap from leader on back? Tell you what, at the moment, Slayerized might still be in position. Slayerized, I was going to say, Slayerized right now is at the point where I think right now, Slayerized, if he keeps it up, I think he's going to be within a within a good shout for a podium here. I'm not sure how the math is going to work out. I haven't taken a math class in probably 10 years. Well, that's kind of an overstatement. But Slayerized has just pulled the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And saying that, Slayerized, I think, has a very good opportunity at having a shout for a podium here if, and only if, he keeps it clean from here on out. I don't want to say that would be kind of an underdog, but with the day that Slayerized has had, I tell you what, Gasboy's lost the car there. To the inside is Pingolo. And Shariah Coleslaw will get around the inside of Gasboy as well. Well, I tell you what, Shariah Coleslaw really down to the inside of Pingolo here. He wants the podium. He's looking for it as much as he can. He's side by side with the McLaren as they go down the backstretch now. Lancey has cleared DRS range back to Cynical. In fact, Cynical, I would say, is in a huge mess here because multiple drivers behind him have that DRS. And Shariah side by side with Pingolo, and Gasboy's in this as well. Fireballer and Slayerized have both gone wide, going through the final corner. Slayerized is trying desperately to get around these two drivers here because he knows that if he does, he'll be within a position for a podium. Shariah, does he lose the car? Well, he almost does, and almost collects two drivers in the process. At this moment in time, 2 laps to go this time by, Cynical is a second away from losing this win. He has to keep it within 3 seconds. At the moment, 2 seconds flat. This is dangerously close here for Cynical. I tell you what, Lancey, if he does pull off the win here, it will be one to remember. He's had everything thrown at him today, not to mention a questionable strategy call on his part that really shouldn't have made it as hard as it is. But I tell you what, at this moment in time, Lancey might just have the ability here. About a lap and 3/4 to go now. Shariah still trying to find room around Pingolo if we look at the gap from the leader on back. Boy, I'm not entirely sure. I think Slayerized is still good. Slayerized has a lot of drivers ahead of him immediately with those penalties. Uh-oh! Slayerized has lost traction! Yeah, that's not good. That may have been Slayerized's opportunity for the podium. I think it may have gone out the window here. Yeah, I'm really not sure how the math is going to work out at the end of it here. I do know that Lancey is half a second in the negative. Oh, we have a yellow flag towards the back. Don't tell me it's Slayerized. It is. The opportunity for Slayerized to have a podium here, despite all odds thrown against him. And unfortunately, those dreams for a podium are left in the infield grass through the Hockenheim section of corners. Final lap of the Grand Prix here. 0.4 of a second separate Lancey from a win. If he's able to put Cynical outside of that 3-second window that he needs to negate his 3-second penalty that he picked up, I believe, 2 laps after the safety car had come in for the final time. Meanwhile, it's a crucial battle here. Shariah Coleslaw within 0.2 of a second of Pingolo. Oh, I tell you what, Pingolo doing well to defend. Shariah's got to be frustrated here because Shariah definitely looks to be the faster car. I know he's on 6-lap-old soft tires, but still, I would say Shariah might have the pace. Slayerized has DNF'd coming out of, oh, what is that? That's turn, I want to say 8. And look at this. Outside now of 3 seconds. Cynical, I think in that, has spun the tires coming out of turn 11. And Cynical now, 3.5 tenths outside of the win. Lancey, I would say, coming into the race, was the favorite. About 10 laps into the race, 15 laps into the race, he was a long shot. He was a massive underdog. And now, I think his job wasn't made any easier after picking up the 3-second penalty just a mere 6 laps ago. But now, Lancey, there's no doubt, is an incredible driver in his own right. For the 3rd time in a row here, he will exit the final corner to win in the Monkey Mafia Esports here in Austin, Texas, his 3rd in a row. Behind him, Cynical comes across the line to finish second, shy of first place by 7/10 of a second. Shariah third, Pingolo fourth, Gab fifth. Fireballer will take sixth, Gazboy seventh, George Mazda Guy eighth, and Mini will round out the field P9. Unbelievable stuff here. Well, here's your final results here from Austin. It's Lancey taking the win over Cynical. Shariah in third. Fourth, Pingolo. Fifth is Gab. Sixth, Fireballer. Seventh, Gazboy. Eighth, Mazda Guy. 10th is Mini. Unfortunately for Slayerized, and a lot of drivers here, they did not finish the Grand Prix. Most notably, Reimer and Lightwork, I really think, had a great opportunity to win today, and they took each other out in spectacular fashion, as well as the two AlphaTauris. And oh, by the way, next week we head to Silverstone. If you're not tuning in to the Monkey Mafia Esports League, what the hell is wrong with you? This is brilliant stuff here. I mean, that's all there has to be said. Next three is Silverstone, Australia, and Spain. Hotspot's been a pleasure joining you this time out. We'll see you next time.